Hey everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode of the Voyager Roundtable, where we talk all about Voyager, the VGX token, the stock, the platform, everything Voyager. Here today, I'm joined, as usual, by DJ Crypto and Digital Doji, and with special guest, Mr. CEO and co-founder of Voyager Digital, Steve Ehrlich. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Happy to be here. Happy to join you guys. I think I've spoken to each one of you individually, so might as well just do it all in one big group.
For sure.
Looking forward to it.
For sure. I mean, we got a lot of topics to discuss. A lot has happened over the past couple of weeks here with, acquisitions, the platform, Binance, token swap. So, hey, let's start with the token swap. Obviously, we got some big news the other day coming from Binance. Given a lot of clarification when it comes to the VGX token swap. So if any of you want to comment, what happened? Well, how do you guys think the market, did they overreact maybe? How does this impact Voyager? And I don't know, Steve, from your end, how did this look, setting it all up with Binance obviously coordinating it all?
Well, look, I think, it's a lot of time, and not from my end. Amateo and my team did an unbelievable killer job in getting this all organized. And I know there's a lot of heat that happened for months about, when's it going to happen? It's delayed. I mean, it's not easy when you're working with, the primary exchange was halfway around the other side of the globe. So it's not like you pick up the phone and make an easy call and you hash that out. So it took so many email exchanges and back and forth to get it set. So Amateo really killed it. So he's the guy that really did all the work behind this, and the majority of the work. Obviously, there's more people that do stuff, but he was the guy. We're excited. We can't believe we're finally here, and I think everybody should be excited. And I think that Binance announcement last night really gave some energy to the token, and we'll see now when we get the swap done over the next week with our partner in Binance to get it done. So we're again really looking forward to it. And right in the heels of that comes the Voyager loyalty program, September 1st. So back to back things. And then when you tack on the Coinify acquisition a little over a week ago, we're giving the market some pretty good news, back to back on that stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of optimism around Voyager. I mean, Coinbase also just reported earnings just after the bell, absolutely smashed it in terms of trading volume, users, revenue. So, I mean, I'm sure you probably can't comment on, what's going on at Voyager throughout the months of July and August, but, are you seeing something parallel to that? I don't know.
Well, bear in mind, what Coinbase put out was their June quarter, right? I mean, so the June quarter was a historically great quarter for all of us. We kind of put our numbers out there as a range, which beat a lot of the estimates too. But that said, it was historically great. When you look at the market volumes in the marketplace for April, May, and beginning of June a little bit, you had some historically great volumes in that time frame. Now, June was a little bit less than May and a lot less than May in the second half. July was, slow too. And now August, we're starting to see a pickup. And I think some of that summer doldrums, seasonality that you get to with crypto. But more important, seasonality, just because this is, it's summer, and last summer, nobody could do anything. And so now people are out and about. So I think you've seen a lot of volume, decrease in the marketplace, but I'm pretty sure it'll pick up again right after Labor Day.
Yeah, I mean, one of the figures that kind of shocked me was how verified users keeps going up for them, even at their scale, over like 60 million verified users. So when you look at Voyager, VGX, stock, a lot of it's correlated with funded accounts. So, I don't know if you guys want to comment on, funded account growth, what your thoughts are on that potentially going into the back half of the year. But I think it sets up a nice kind of path for Voyager to have I don't want to say easy, because, it's definitely not the easiest thing in the world to convince someone to come onto your a financial platform and whatnot. You guys do a great job of doing that, Steve. But, it sets up a great roadmap or pathway, whatever you want to call it, for Voyager.
Yeah, well, look, we said at the end of June, what did we say? 665,000 funded accounts, 1.75 million verified users, to use their terms. And then, you could safely assume that by the end of July, we had, well over 700,000 funded accounts and well over 1.8 million users. So we continue to see the growth. The account growth is great. You guys help a lot with that. All the Voyager community, the VGX heroes all help get the word out. And so I think we're going to continue that through the end of the year. Our goal is to double or triple the size over the next, definitely double and hopefully triple the size by this time next year. So continue the growth, keep doing. We got some pretty cool new marketing stuff coming out in a few weeks, if not sooner. So we're pretty excited about the prospects of what we've got coming down the line here.
Couple of questions on the coin since we brought that up. How closely are you and your team kind of monitoring the numbers that they put out, whether it's the accounts or the earnings and those type of things? Does that kind of stuff impact goals, or how closely are you looking at what they're doing?
Yeah, well, I listened to the call, and if anyone on Coinbase is listening to this, I listened to your call. Different call than what the normal earnings call is. It's completely scripted. They didn't take calls from the analysts. They did, but then they wrote them themselves and then responded. So there was no verbal interchange, which is non-traditional, but good for them. They can pull it off. But from our perspective, we look at it just to have a comparison. It's pretty hard to compare when they have so many verified users, but we look at trends. For us, it's about trends. Where's the trends in the industry? We look a lot at their retail side. We're not institutional with no real plans to be in the heavy duty hedge funds and so forth. So we look at their retail trends. We try to get an idea where they're going, what's going on their staking side of the world and yield part of the world. And we also understand that they're global already, and that our job is to get there and get global. So we pay a lot of attention to them. I think if you listen to their comments, they pay a lot of attention to us too, because a lot of the changes they've made in the last year, I think, were due to our rapid growth and them not understanding how the heck this little old Voyager company could get to be as big as we are. So I think it works both ways. And I think it's true, not just of probably us and Coinbase. We all keep an eye on each other and try to make sure that we know what's going on and what the products are looking like elsewhere. It's just part of doing our business. We did that at E-Trade years ago. What we used to do is open accounts everywhere at E-Trade, at Ameritrade, at Schwab, at TD Waterhouse way back. We opened accounts everywhere. You want to know what's going on in the marketplace because they're your competition, but at the same time, you're trying to grow the industry together too.
One more follow-up on that with the Coinbase is they reported a lot of earnings from major institutions. And I know Voyager's been primarily the retail side, but are there plans in the future to kind of, I know there's huge marketing going toward the retail side, even coming up with the loyalty program and all that, but are we going to start attacking some of that institutional money? Because it was a pretty big chunk of what they just brought in. And I think 50% gain or something like that, but I don't remember the exact numbers, but is that a goal in the future?
Small to mid-sized businesses is our institutional segment. I think that institutions themselves, when the big guys get in, the Morgan Stanleys, the Goldman Sachses, the Credit Suisses, and all the big guys that are in the space, Jeffries, as they start to get in, they already have the hedge fund relationships. They already have the institutional relationships. They're going to go right back to where they get their equities from. So me coming in there doesn't add a lot of value. But the small to mid-sized businesses that are unsupported or not supported well enough by the traditional banks, that's our sweet spot. That's where we think the institutional market can be really up for grabs for us, is that area. Because as even Coinbase gets to be so big, that's the one area that we can fill right a gap, because the small to mid-sized businesses want some extra love. They want to be taken care of, and you don't get it from some of the traditional places.
So Steve, I spent 6 years in business banking, commercial deposit generation. So that's kind of where my heart is. I'm seeing so many people that if you could open a business account today, they'd bring their business deposits over to you immediately. They'd park it in USDC. They might dabble in Bitcoin, maybe some other altcoins. But is there a time frame when you would expect to possibly stretch into that market? It's huge. It's massive. I don't know if the audience here realizes how big that market share is, but I just looked at the charts today on some of the government websites, and it's over $17 trillion in commercial deposits today. So if you look at even just a few billion, to give you guys a perspective, at our bank, we used to issue 12-month CDs at 2%. We'd bring in about $1 billion a year in deposits. So if you could think about the opportunity that's there for Voyager, it's huge.
It's
thoughts on that?
Well, look, we definitely have thoughts on that one. Coinify already has the ability to take business accounts, so we're kind of changing a little bit about their website and how they actually activate business accounts, because it's it needs a little bit of branding help on that front. So we're already there. Once we announced the Coinify last Monday and said we're open, we're taking interest in small to mid-sized accounts, we got hundreds, if not thousands, of inbound traffic from small to mid-sized businesses wanting payments. And the minute we take payments, we got to do the same KYC, as you probably know. Payments or deposits, it doesn't matter. You got to do the same know your customer. Anyway, so yeah, we will absolutely get there sometime coming up. We got a little work to do with the Coinify guys, but that was one of the reasons we wanted the Coinify as part of the transaction. We wanted to get into the small and mid-sized business, and instead of building it from scratch, we had a partner now to do that.
To extend onto the Coinify thought, as far as that acquisition goes, is there something specifically that VGX holders can sit back and be really excited about, to look forward to? What your vision might be for integrating what Coinify brings to Voyager and what the VGX token could do possibly for that integration?
Yeah, look, the Coinify itself will help us get to Europe quicker. There's no doubt about that, because one of the things you have to do is find a company that can do the KYC, do the anti-money laundering, has the procedures, the staff in place, and then the money movements, because in the US we use the ACH system or wire system to do it. In Europe, you use what they call the SEPA system, SEPA, and they're already connected into that network, so we could actually get going there. But that said, it takes time, because we built this entire infrastructure in the US on an AWS and Google network in the US. You can't use that in Europe because of what they call GDPR. And we don't want to make US folks subject to this GDPR. It's really bad for a company to do that. And we know up in Canada, that's the same thing. You got PEPITA. So we can't do so. We got to actually set up an entire network and system outside the US in, somewhere in Europe. And we're working on that. But that's one way where the token holders, let's think about some of the things we could possibly do with payments. We get these merchants, they're going to save, our fees are somewhere around 1% to use the merchant network. The Cash App, Square, all those guys, their networks are like 2.9% plus a charge for each swipe. And now you can have people who are using that network and paying merchants. We can incentivize them to open Voyager accounts using our token to do that. We have that pool of tokens that we can use for marketing. Marketing comes in so many different forms, but that's one way. So we can build a bigger community on the platform, because it's key is getting them in the platform and then showing them everything else we got.
Totally. There is this one question here just on the topic of VGX. I don't know, Steve, you can comment on this. I'm guessing over time, VGX will be added to, more exchanges. Obviously, currently Binance is the major one, but maybe longer term Kraken. I heard something about Coinbase. I'm not sure, but yeah. If you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, we're looking at, we get approached now. Now we actually get approached by all the exchanges. We got to choose the right ones, right? I mean, there's some ones you just, most of them can list if they want to without our approval, because it is an ERC20 token, so they can do that if they want. But the big ones, the ones you really want to be on, you go through a process. And we're talking to multiple exchanges about that. And we got to choose the right partners on what you want to do there as well. But I think everybody sees the value of the community, the value of the token. And it is like, last I looked, it was like 85th largest right now. We blew past my buddies over in Europe and their Swissborg token. We blew past them. So we, we're moving up moving up the charts, which is a pretty good sight.
Yeah, I have like a question, more like a round table type thing to give everyone a chance to kind of discuss. But obviously, comparing Voyager to Coinbase, it's two different, like I want to say, business models or brokerage models, in the sense that Voyager, or rather Coinbase, visually displays, you know, a higher fee than Voyager, and obviously Voyager, they take a spread off of each transaction. So, what do you guys think about the two? How do you think they differ? Does Voyagers maybe increase trading volume, things like that? I don't know who wants to go first.
Doji, you got it.
I was going to let you go, DJ. You want to go for it?
Steve, you can go and we'll feed off of that.
Oh, you want me to tell me why I'm better than Coinbase? I'm happy to do that. No, I totally respect those guys. I mean, that's the thing. I think in this industry, we don't hate anybody, and we work with everybody. So, but I think we're different from the fact of being the agency broker. They're one of our execution points as well. You know, it's a very deep liquidity pool there. Not as deep as us, because we take their liquidity pool, market makers pools, other exchange pools, and that's, you know, that's what really sets us apart. And I think to the consumer, the ability to get that execution with no fees, you're getting your price, the transparency of that price is all really important. I was explaining this. I was on one of the Canadian brokers today, had me on 6 or 7 investor calls with funds that either own our stock or are interested in our stock. It's a great day. I love doing those, although it is very, very long when you do, you know, 6 or 7 1-hour calls. But I was explaining to them that when people get a price with us, you know, you get that one price. How many times have we all gone to StubHub or Ticketmaster, and you buy your ticket and you're like, I got this ticket for $75. And then after you're done hitting the buy, it's now $110. Like, that's bullshit. In my mind, that just is crap. And in our case, the price you get is what you're getting. And you even get price improvement on a bunch of the trades. So to me, that was the mindset when we came in and built the business, completely different from the exchanges on that aspect, because they all charge certain fees all over the place. So that to me is one of the biggest differences. You as a consumer, you see what you're getting, you see how much Bitcoin you're getting. If you ever try to do the calculations on an exchange afterward, it sucks. You got this, and then they charge a $199 fee and then a little bit more fee for this. And then you're like, how much Bitcoin did I get? And you have no real idea what your cost basis was. So ours is real easy, and that's how we want it to be.
Not only that, Steve, but as a customer, I can say in 2017, 2018, when the market was running great, I used Coinbase. It was easy to use. When the market collapsed, I didn't want anything to do with Coinbase. I didn't want anything to do with crypto. I didn't want to use CoinJelly or whatever that website was called, where you had to use the swap to get to another token that was on another place. So I left the market totally. I went right back to banks. Well, this time around, it's totally different. Unless I'm buying a house or I'm trying to pay down my mortgage, why would I ever go back to a bank at this point? So as a customer, it's a totally different proposition now that we have, and a use case today that didn't exist even 3 years ago. And that's a large part to what Voyager's built, what you've built there. So that really is exciting to me. And then to sort of piggyback off that thought, you know, what do we think about, I hear a lot of folks talk about, man, it would be great to be able to just ditch my bank completely. And I know we got to be careful with that because of what's going on in the Senate and the House with all their debating and how they maybe have a different take on cryptocurrency and maybe want to preserve what they've built. But I do see a future where Voyager can replace a bank in a lot of ways for consumers. Do you have a vision that you'd like to share that maybe in 2-3 years you see Voyager doing that?
Yeah, look, I think the debit card's the first aspect of that, and why that's important is when people get the debit card, you will get an ABA number, which is the routing number of a bank, and that's our bank that we use, and an account number. So you now can start using that to replace your bank. Now there's other services that have to go on top of that, right? You know, you have the debit card to pay, but then we're going to need to add bill pay and allow you to make, you know, payments out of that in the normal course of business. We will get there. I think our goal is to be your lifestyle app for financial services. So when you talk about mortgages, like we will do that at some point, but it's a step process. The first process is bringing consumers in, getting them on the platform, teaching them about crypto, getting them comfortable. And by paying 9% of USDC, you get them comfortable pretty quickly once they know about it. And then you start building everything else off that. But that's our goal. From day one, it was to kind of be this lifestyle app where get the customers. But look, less than a year ago, I had 40,000 customers. Voyager had 40,000 customers. I think it was 43 at the end of December. So for me saying that, people thought I was nuts. Like, there's no way. You're way out there. We'll see you in 2030. But now we're getting closer to that vision because of the number of people we have. And the payments are another way to get people engaged with the app. So, a stat I'll tell you guys, I've been saying to all these investors is on our app, the consumers are on the app somewhere between 8 and 12 times per day. They're on the app, which is, I have an E-Trade account for my securities, and I'm on that app twice a month. So that tells you the engagement level. And they're a bank too, and they were supposed to be a bank. So yes, that's where we're going. We're heading down that path. Loans, no timeline on this, but this is all on our long-term vision of having credit cards, collateralized loans, mortgages, all those things are on our path. We know as we build consumers, we can do that.
On the Coinbase thing, I know you have Coinbase and Coinbase Pro. So Coinbase itself, not much of a competitor as far as buying crypto, unless they just have something that Voyager doesn't have. But on a apples to apples, they don't really compete. But Coinbase Pro can get you a pretty good price, and a lot of people will go there. And honestly, it may just be to transfer off, because you definitely wouldn't want to hold it on Coinbase. So I don't really get that comparison. But what I look at is, why would I use something else? And it's that spread that I see on Voyager specifically to the VGX token. So right now you're between a 5 and 6% total. And we're getting into the season with the loyalty program coming, where we're all going to benefit off of those trades. And right now, I don't think trading is the specialty of Voyager. Is there a potential for like a Voyager Pro, so to speak, where some kind of leverage can be in there to get a more condensed spread? And B, on the Voyager token specifically, if we spread that out to more exchanges, does that allow us to get a little bit more aggressive? Because obviously every token is different, and VGX is pretty limited right now, but does that help?
Yeah, so let me try to unpack a bunch there. On the spread side, it's all based upon the liquidity in the market on coins. Because if you try to do a $10,000 purchase of VGX on an exchange, you're going to rip through the level 1 or the level 2 book. You're just going to rip through it because there's not as much liquidity of that. So when it gets on other exchanges, is there a chance that there's going to be more liquidity, therefore we can do tighter spreads? Absolutely. But I think a lot of that for all the coins is all driven by the depth of liquidity. That's why we do Bitcoin very tight, because we have this depth of liquidity on Bitcoin as well. And folks that do use Coinbase Pro, we've done the math. We've done the analysis, internally that says, hey, if you want to go buy, 100,000 of Bitcoin, you're not getting that top of book that you see on the Coinbase Pro. You're going through the book. And this comes back to all my knowledge in the years at E-Trade. And then when I ran my own professional trading shop at Lightspeed for really active traders, we had $1 billion of assets and a whole bunch of active customers using our direct access. You see both sides of the bid and ask side, and you just rip through that with orders. And you basically, not only do you rip through it, you're changing the pricing, and the market makers on it are seeing what's happened. If you give a crappy execution, meaning that if you just rip through the book and just say, I'm going to buy 10,000 and rip through the ask side of the book, those market makers are all automated, and they're changing their prices and giving you worse execution on the way there, because you're ripping through the book, and their prices that are deeper in the book get worse and worse and worse and worse. So it's how market makers make money, because they're watching the activity of orders that you're putting in there, as retail and other institutions that trade sloppily, and they rip through books. And that happens on equity markets too. You see it happen all the time. So you can see that happen all the time if you can watch level 1 and if you watch the level 2 books on equities exchanges. Same thing happens. You get some sloppy retail trader that rips through books and prices change drastically.
So there's some negative news that just came out on Robinhood, and I think it kind of steers into how they do it. How I forget the term for that, but how is Voyager going to operate different from that market maker that they're using? Because we
put market makers in competition with us. Like, we get lots of market makers. Pretty much every week, we're getting calls from every market maker under the sun who wants to give us liquidity. So we put them in competition. In the Robinhood world, I don't know how they do it, but I know they use a select few. But we do everything in competition. We don't own a market maker. We don't have a strategic relationship, deep relationship with one market maker. We work with all of them. We just put them all in competition to make sure we get good, tight price, as best as pricing we can get.
Interesting. And I don't know if we want to talk a little bit about marketing. I know that is something that you guys plan on kind of scaling into, right? Because now you're obviously with Landon Castle, different athletes. And I don't know, I saw some commercial on, I don't know if that's the official Voyager YouTube channel. Is that you guys?
Ooh, I haven't seen that one. Maybe not. It could be us, but it doesn't mean that Pam, she could be testing something and not tell me yet. But why? What was on that commercial? Because I didn't see that one.
It's like a football-esque commercial, and I don't know, it goes through Voyager, just kind of like a 30-second clip.
I haven't seen that one. Feel free, send that my way. I'd love to check it out.
Yeah.
Have not seen that one. But look, we are ramping up marketing. We hired a firm called Organic that is a part of the Omnicom Group, which is a big public company, to help us, do some things on the branding aspect. We got some pretty cool stuff coming. We'll hit the ground running in the next few weeks. Definitely by Labor Day, but probably sooner. And Landon's been great. I know I think he's been on with you guys. He's awesome. We're extremely excited about that relationship and what we're doing. And then obviously Landon and I will be in Daytona at the end of the month. That should be a lot of fun. We're working out a venue and stuff like that of what we're going to do. More details and all that to come in the next few days, I think. But all of it is pretty cool. He's great. We wish the car he was driving was a little bit better, but maybe we might have to fix that for next year.
Yeah, I mean, marketing is like one of those kind of like spreads out into multiple different pillars. So it's great seeing that. And I don't know. I don't think you've been asked this directly, but the E-Trade baby. We've been talking about this a lot. It's been the talk of the town, and is Voyager gonna bring it back? Are you guys allowed to? Are there some restrictions?
So let's see. Those commercials were somewhere around 2003, 2004. The baby. That baby is like a teenager now. So who knows what we bring back? I mean, you got Pam and myself, who were both there at the time of the baby. Who knows? You never know what may happen and what we're thinking and what we're doing. We do have some cool stuff, though. Whether it includes a baby or dogs or pro athletes, who knows? We've got some things up our sleeves.
That's great. No, I'm looking forward to the marketing because, again, it's another aspect of growth, right? Because now it's a lot of it's just been natural, just Voyager's name getting out there, whether that be through different communities like Shiba Inu or VGX. Yep. It's and just having that to look forward to is great from that front. There have been a lot of questions about the Toronto Stock Exchange uplisting for the stock. Is there an update on that? Potentially when it's coming. How's that going?
Yeah, I don't think we're far away on that one. We have a very good relationship with the regulators up there, but everything with regulators takes time. I appreciate the process. Having been a compliance officer in the space in the past. I appreciate everything does take time. I think we're pretty close. And then, once we can get that done, we could work towards getting to NASDAQ, which would be a huge boon for us. I think, just so I heard a couple of things that Coinbase was saying today. But one of the things that, listeners or watchers should understand is there's so much detail that has to go into NASDAQ. We live by what they call IFRS, International Financial Reporting rules, being in Canada. GAAP, which is typical of the US, which is how you do generally accepted accounting principles for NASDAQ listed companies, directly listed companies. They don't have good framework for cryptocurrencies. Last week, Square took a $45 million impairment charge on their financials due to the way you account for cryptocurrency. So a lot of work has to go into that to see, we don't want to take impairment charges for something that makes no sense. So we're working with our auditors to make sure that we get into a better spot to go to NASDAQ. That's why TSX is our first natural place. And we'll hopeful, very shortly on that front.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the way Square reports their Bitcoin revenue as just trading volume? It's kind of or trading volume is revenue. It's always really annoyed me when I look back at Square a couple of years or a year or so. I don't know. It just seems kind of odd.
Man, it's something we look at. We're looking at like it just doesn't seem right. But I guess they're a payment company versus a trading company. And so you see them, you think they're doing a lot more revenue than they are. And really the revenue is, I think, 2% of their top line is right. And I think they said they did 2.7 bill for the June quarter of volume. And I know we beat them. So, just take what we put out there at 103 to 107 as our revenue and use what we said was consistent basis points on the trades. And you do that, we blew them away on trading volume for the quarter. So, it's accounting. I got my start out of college as a CPA. Don't hold it against me. And so I never really understood most of the accounting rules, which is I lasted longer than most, 7 years, but never going back. I'm never going back there. I don't think that there's no really connection to a lot of the accounting rules in actuality and reality. I think those making the rules need to go work in some businesses first and then go back. So, but that's pretty true of everything. Regulations are usually done by people who haven't operated. And I think when you operate, you have a different mindset because you're not only looking at your own business, you're looking at what customers want. So all that together. But we'll get there. We'll get to NASDAQ. It's just a matter of time and doing the work and working with our auditors to get there.
Steve, one question I think might be coming up quickly. You've mentioned a few times in the past about altcoins that might be added to the platform. Is that something that we could get excited about here soon? One of the things that really made Voyager what it is that last year it was one of the only spots where you could find a ton of altcoins on an easy to use platform. And I know you've hinted to adding more. So if you could shed some light on it, that'd be awesome.
Working on it. It's part of the whole scaling thing too, right? I mean, as we want to scale the business, as we promised, we're scaling. We're making unbelievable progress because you're never done. Unbelievable progress. We do want to add more coins. It's high on our list. We go through a whole framework that we have to do to support from a regulatory and legal perspective. But our goal is to add a bunch more over the rest of the year. So we'll get there. We're also looking at coins on the platform that we see very little activity in whether or not they should actually stay on the platform or not. So you guys could probably figure some of them out. But some of them just aren't. I'm not telling you those. My team will kill me. Come on.
Coinbase ranks them. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we don't yet, but we may. There's some that I think aren't. I think there's some that aren't worthy. It's what was that? There's some movie that said we're not worthy or whatever. So I think that some coins aren't worthy of really being listed on the platform, and we're taking a good hard look at things too.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that some people actually really like about Voyager is that there isn't like an overwhelming amount of tokens out there, which, when you look at something like a Binance, which has every single crypto out there, that could be viewed as a positive, right? But it's also to some newer investors, it can be definitely very overwhelming. So I guess this just might be a point that I'm assuming you guys are going to continue adding coins, just like to make it in a way to where it's not overwhelming for potentially newer investors.
Yeah, reading some of the comments, I guess it was Wayne's World. That's right, it was Wayne's World. So thank you for about the 15 different comments that came in there about Wayne's World. I remember that movie very well because I was probably in my 20s when it came out.
Yeah, it's just a super chat here. Asking about Voyager buying VGX tokens. I'm not sure if you can potentially comment on this. Maybe just give some clarity.
We don't actively buy our own coins. We don't actively buy our own stock. We file that, when we file for the stock, we have a process that we have to follow to do that. We don't do that. We think that there's, it's for you guys to buy the coins and determine the price of the coins, not for us to buy them up and move prices one way or another. That's not what we do. We have an inventory of coins. It's on our financial statements. And when we pay interest or give rewards, it comes out of our inventory to do that. And, we don't actively do that. We won't actively buy our coins in the marketplace because we think that's just, the regulators wouldn't think highly of that one.
That's interesting because one of the kind of words on the street has been that there actually wasn't a treasury for tokens and that Voyager was, to pay that extra interest and stuff. We were getting them off the market in order to do that, but that's not the case.
Well, bear in mind that you got to go way back to when we got the tokens. So when we did the Ethos acquisition way back when, we got a whole bunch of tokens and we've kept tokens. We had planned out how much we were going to use over time. So we have an inventory of tokens. We don't need to go to the marketplace and buy them. We have them in our treasury from like 2019, I think was when that transaction closed. So we don't do that. We think if we ran out of the treasury at some point, then we obviously would to make good on the interest. But now that we're going to be staking, that's going to be minted tokens. It's a different animal. So the tokens we hold are really for inventory. That if we want to do something different and special with them and, pay Vic Oladipo or pay someone like that from a marketing aspect, that's what we'll use our treasury for that stuff.
If we can touch on that for just a minute, we have that 40 million growth pool that's about to get started or unleashed. And the way that I'm looking at it is if we have a $4 token, then we've essentially got 160 million value sitting there for the growth of the token or the growth of the platform. Is there something about that to where they don't all have to be used, or as they all get used up for the first year and it's 40 the first year, then, as if the token does increase, which I think it does, we won't bring up the bet 250, but as I think it goes up from here, let's say it hits $10, is it legitimate that increases the value of money that you can spend to boost this whole ecosystem, or how is that playing out?
That's exactly right. And we're not going to throw the tokens away either, like just use them for useless sake. I mean, it's part of the rewards program. You're going to use the debit card, you're going to get tokens back. You're going to use, you trade with us, you're going to get tokens back. We're incentivizing based on tiers to get more Voyager tokens to refer your friends and refer others. So that's how we plan on using the tokens. Maybe we will find another pro athlete, like Landon took tokens. He took VGX tokens, a bunch of VGX tokens. And we gave them out of our inventory to do the car racing, to do the sponsorship and the partnership with him. If we find, someone else, another pro athlete, maybe Tom Brady wants VGX tokens rather than FTX ones. So maybe we'll find someone like that wants to take some VGX tokens, and it helps us build the community. The idea behind that pool was to build the community, get more people on the platform. And when we get to international, I have those tokens to entice people internationally to open Voyager accounts and use payment. So I can go to merchants. I can go to, for argument's sake, and I'm just throwing a name out there, don't hold me to it, like a Domino's, and say, hey, accept crypto payments. Every single time one of your customers pays in crypto, and we're going to open an account and put a VGX token or so forth in his account. So he might get his first pizza for free. So because you're going to get VGX, there's a world of ideas I can do with that stuff. And the more value it is, the more ideas I have. So, but we're not going to hand them away. We're not just going to give them away with no value on that whatsoever. We want people to be engaged with the platform. We want them to bring new customers to the platform. We want them to trade on the platform. We want to use the payments that's all what the tokens are for.
Am I going to have to wait till Voyager expands to Canada before having a referral code, or?
Oh man. You should email me. I think we could do something for US folks for you. My marketing team is probably cringing right now, but my marketing and legal. So whatever I say, it doesn't, they have to sign off on everything at the end of the day anyway. It keeps me out of trouble. But we're working with it. I mean, I think once the question, if we get to the TSX, I think once we get to the TSX, we're in a higher standing with the OSC. So getting the exemptive relief for Canada should be a little bit easier for us as well. We think, again, no guarantees on anything because it's regulations and legal and so forth. So, but that's where we're kind of headed towards.
Yeah, I mean, take your time with that, right? It's important to get it done right.
Do it right.
Binance, yep. And they're getting kicked out by the end of the year in Ontario. But there were a bunch of people asking me to. I can share screen the ad. I don't know if you guys want to watch it, but
yeah.
Are you guys seeing it here? And
yep.
Super Bowl ad, right?
No, I'll be a lot better if we do Super Bowl ad. Trust me, that's a piece of shit for a Super Bowl ad. We won't win the award for the best ad at the Super Bowl for that. That's a great ad. It's great. Our team did a great job on that. But it's not a Super Bowl ad. That was from when we went to Vegas. Landon and I spoke to about 100 of the NFL players in Vegas. And that was what we had on the screens. Before we came on, when we left, and in between different sessions, that ad played for the NFL players. And we had some great guys there that are now followers of Voyager and VGX holders. Rashad Jennings, Marquez Valdez, Scantling, Ashton Davis, I think it is, who's the safety for the Jets. We had some great conversations, and one of the guys that was there too is what's that show that was on HBO with Dwight The Rock when he was the NFL agent and Ballers. So forth? Ballers. Yeah. One of the guys from Ballers was there. It was great. We got out in front of a whole bunch, and I mean, you guys noticed it. You guys pick it up quicker than me. Like when Mike Trout was following Voyager, I mean, that spread like wildfire. We still have to get Mike to do some stuff for us, but you never know. We might break him down here coming up. But I do think that we have so many now high-profile athletes and musicians and artists that are using the platform that it's pretty cool. Uh-oh, someone's mute.
Daniel, you're on mute.
Can't hear you.
I noticed that now. No, I what I like is that when it comes to your athlete partnerships, a lot of them are based off of referrals. So it's obviously, they get paid based off of how many people they bring in. Obviously, there are exceptions with like Landon Castle and whatnot, because obviously you have the car. But, I think that's a very interesting kind of model to go by. And any plans to use the athletes in like TV commercials?
You never know.
Okay.
Never know.
Yeah, he's smiling.
Never know. You never know. It's a growing list of folks that are using our app. So you never know. We will use, whatever tools we think are helpful to grow the community, grow the app. I've become, I'm fortunate. I'm lucky. I feel very, very lucky. I get the opportunity to meet some of these guys and get on Zoom calls with some of these athletes and musicians and and artists and so forth, and they're folks that I've listened to their music or watched them play ball, and I hung out with Vic, and Vic and I was just like just talking, and we talk like there's not about the sports. We just talk about crypto. I mean, we're talking about crypto, the banking system, how education has failed a lot of people, and financial education has failed. Vic is one of the smartest guys I ever met, because the first conversations Vic and I had was about how financial education it doesn't happen in high school. Nobody teaches you how to balance checkbooks or use credit cards, or what even using a credit card means when you don't pay it on time. Nobody teaches that in high school. Then you're an athlete, and if you're a high level athlete like Vic, you go to college, and they all know the end goal is to get you to the pros, and nobody still in college teaches you financial education. And forget pro athletes, think about the average guys like us. We go to college, and if you don't have a parent who's teaching you about financial education, or a friend or someone of in that nature, you're on your own. You come out of college and you paying rent. What do I do? How do you pay it? Oh, you've got to get insurance on your apartment, or like, what is a mortgage? What does that mean? And nobody teaches you that stuff. But Vic and I literally sat for 2 hours talking about all the things that were wrong in financial education. And we didn't talk. We had a Nick game on in the background, which was cool, because every once in a while I was like, how's that player? And he'd give me his insight. But it was all about like financial education, which makes me think, I love talking to Vic. He's one of my favorite people in the world, just because for what he's accomplished and what he earns as a pro athlete, he's still worried about all the people and how we can change things. And that's common with a lot of athletes and artists and musicians that I speak to. It's about how can we change the world and get out of the mess we're in with governments and banks.
Well, Steve, your app has done a great job giving a lot of people hope. And I know there's a lot of people that are really thankful for what you guys have done at Voyager. I can tell you, when I asked a lot of the community members today what questions you want me to ask, a lot of people just messaged me privately and said, Doji, make sure you just tell him thank you, because you've given us a chance to possibly get out of our 9-to-5 job, retire, or put ourselves in a better position financially through the passive income that's on the app, or the other assets, the way that the market works. So you guys have built something that I like to call it a wealth machine. It's like a wealth building machine. And it's like this magical app that you put your money on there. And I know DJ said it the other day, he took money off, and then like the next day he woke up and his balance was bigger than it was when he went to sleep. It's like a magical app that just kind of grows money on trees. So thank you for that. I'd be
Don't be telling them I took money off, man.
Yeah.
That's okay. Look, man, I mean, everybody needs to. That stuff doesn't bother me. I know if we're doing our job, we're creating wealth so you guys can go, buy the house, buy a car, do whatever. Then I know I'm doing my job, and the team knows they're doing a job. Doge, when you and I first met, I told you that story, and you're like, that was me. And I'm like, but I told you that story, and I'm not going to repeat it because it's between you and I. But when I read that story to my wife, she cried. She literally cried because we realized at that point we were trying to do something that helps people. And that was one of the, we got a whole bunch in a day. And I think it was really something that we're trying to do that. We're not perfect. You guys have all heard me say that. The app goes down. We have mistakes. We make this mistake, but we own it. We say it, we own it, and we're still trying to help. We're trying to do what's right every single day for consumers. And that's what gets me up at 5:30 every morning. Get up, work out, get started to work. And I think that's what really gets the entire team motivated, is helping people.
That's awesome. I mean, when you look at your platform and just kind of building on top of, the whole aspect of, building a financial education and whatnot, currently you're just in crypto, right? So you have this massive crypto community behind you, but, over time, as you expand into these different things, again, IRAs, stocks to cryptos, debit cards, credit cards, you're going to bring all of these communities together. And again, in doing so, you know, show the crypto people stocks, show the stock people cryptos, educate them about, you know, retirement accounts, how good they are, how they can have a extreme benefit on your long-term net worth. It's you know, it's great seeing what Voyager is doing now, but it's even greater, you know, seeing the potential you guys have, and not just, you know, becoming a massive platform, but really changing people's lives in that way.
You know, it's all those things you mentioned we want to do, you know, IRAs. My dad told me when I started working in 1987, my first job out of college a long time ago. And he said, just put money in your 401k, because by the time you're going to hit, you know, retirement 35, 40 years from now, you know, the thing is just going to grow. And I was like, who cares about 35, 40 years from now? Shit, I'm there. So I'm not retiring, but I'm there on that age. And so it grew so much. And so we know we need to bring that to really help people, because that's all part of financial education. And when we look at things that we could potentially, you know, acquire next and put into our world, you know, the content and financial education is really high on our list, because we think it's important to continue to teach. And I'm seeing some of the comments, folks like, hey, come down to Florida A&M, I think, or something like that. I'll go to any college. Quite honestly, you know, I don't want to get, you know, I know colleges like to pay for that shit. Nope. I'll do it all on my own dime. I will come teach any college student about finances and set up there. So anyone listening who has connections, so happy to do that, because, you know, when you leave this earth, and we all do at some point, it's your reputation, who you were, what you gave back to the world to do that. I'm fortunate enough to be in a position to do that. And it's really important for that to happen. So anyone who's got places, just tell me. I'm happy to go. My dime, come down there and speak to college students left and right.
That's why we love you, Steve. Right there.
It's what we do. It's what we're supposed to do in the financial industry. It's not, you know, I know Wall Street has such a bad name, like they're trying to, you know, steal from the poor to give to the rich. And, you know, it's, you know, there's so many of us, and it's not just me, there's so many other good people in this industry that are trying to do this as well. And it's important. If we want to really convert people out of the traditional systems into the crypto ecosystem, we have to do this. Pam Kramer and I spend a lot of time thinking about it. We have Voyager for Good. How do we really start doing that more and educating? And so it's core to who we are, an important part of what we have to do. Not want to, have to do. It's part of what we have to do.
That's awesome.
That's a big part of my story is, like, you know, I was in Coinbase a few years ago and I got out of it, just like what Doji was saying. It's too difficult to use anything else at the time, and no one was there to help you figure it out. So they just made it easy. And then I got burnt out. I doubled up and got out. And when I got back in, I started realizing that everybody's different. And one of the things that I gained confidence with Voyager is that, like what you've confirmed tonight about when I asked about institutions, is that you are going to the masses of the retail customer, but also their business. And there's a lot of PPP money out there that I'm trying to get into some USDC. Yep. But at the end of the day, I feel like you and your team have my back, and my friends, my family that I interact with, their back. When I hype up what I'm involved in, and I'm selling them on what my vision is, it's because I have confidence that you have my back on what you're trying to do. So if a mishap happens and a crash happens for 10 minutes, I'm not freaking out, because I know that you're at home way more angry than I am about the same situation, and you're going to do whatever it takes to take care of it. That's the kind of energy, reputation, integrity that I've seen consistent, and that's what I'm buying into. So I appreciate that big time.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's we can always do better, and I think that's the key. People that know me and know me for a long time know that I'm never satisfied. My own team is like, you know, we had this killer quarter at the end of June, and they're like, how come you're not happy? I'm like, because we can be better. We could be better. I mean, it's not better about being revenue-wise. We can be better because our system could be more scalable and so forth. I'm just never satisfied when it comes to that. I played college lacrosse. Hate to lose anything. but I was always like, even after we won games, I was like, how can we be better the next time? It's always about trying to be better. And so I think that's what we have to be. We strive for it. And if you strive for that, you're not going to hit all that all the time. And you got to be accepting that you're not always going to be better every day, and you're not always going to move the needle. But if you strive for it, you do that, you actually accomplish that more than you fail. And that's a good thing.
That's incredible, man. I want to shift this to the business, but this conversation is just so I'm sure.
Fire away, ask anything. I'll tell you whatever I can say on the business. I will, because I can get myself in heaps of trouble as being a public company unless if it's not publicly disclosed.
I got it. I do have a question we could pivot to. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are wondering about the Binance gap. I believe it's August 16th. BQX gets delisted, and then the 20th the swap occurs. So there's a 3 or 4 day gap there, and there's a lot of talk in the community about what that means for trading the Voyager token. Is there any clarity that you can provide tonight on that?
Yeah, what I'll say is that since it's one of the primary exchanges that we use, and we do have some market makers too, we will be probably down from trading for those 4 days as well. We want to keep an orderly market. And if one of the biggest markets is not affecting trading for those 4 days, we really can't either, because we want to make sure there's an orderly market for everybody on that. I think it would be unfair I'm sure there's some in the lower market, maybe some of the decentralized exchanges may have some trading because you can't stop that. But I think there's going to be a lack of liquidity because we're putting everything through the swap and through the mechanism to effectuate the trade. So, for those 4 days, we're going to be down on the only trading on Voyager will be down for those 4 days. Everything else will be open. The Voyager token. Yeah. The VGX token will be down those days. Yep. Yeah. Now, someone just sent me a text. How do they find the live stream through Twitter or so forth? Is that how they do it?
It's on YouTube. Yeah. You can just search up the finance channel. I'll come up, and it's just it should be the first thing that shows up. But the link's out there on Twitter, on my Twitter, on I think we've all retweeted it. I don't know, Doji and DJ.
I'm sure this person just didn't do enough of their diligence. That's all. And so they took an easier route and said, "Let me text Steve."
That's what we all do, right?
That's okay. Most of you guys, you get me either Twitter DMs or mostly Twitter DMs. You guys get me, and I try to get back to you guys as fast as I usually can. But some days I just get pummeled from different things. So,
one question that I do have, lately, COVID's been going nuts within the U.S. Cases are increasing dramatically, and there are talks of another potential lockdown. Whether or not that happens, I think it is something we might need to kind of prepare for when it comes to the financial markets. How do you think that might impact Voyager as a company? Do you guys work remotely? Is it going to have some form of impact in terms of expenses for revenues, profits, etc.?
We do work a lot of remote. We now have, after the Coinify acquisition, we got 200 people globally now. Beginning of the year, we started with 35. So we're 6x in 7 months. So working remotely is not a problem for us because we've been doing it anyway. Last time we went into the lockdown, the business took off. So I think we'll get to that again. I think when people get locked in, they have to find things to do. And if we get locked down for a month or two, that probably means some form of sports is going to be locked down a little bit too. And so what do people do? They gamble, they play fantasy football, they play fantasy sports, and they trade. And so the stock market doesn't close and the crypto market never closes. So they trade. So we think that if we get into another lockdown phase, then we will absolutely, probably hit another gear with the company. We'll hit a gear anyway, and now we might hit even another one in that environment. But I think from what I'm hearing is probably, if we get into that phase, it's going to be a short short extended period. So, and not that long.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously it is a small chance, but it is something to just keep an eye on if, what if, that type of thing. But, by the looks of it, it is, definitely more of a positive when it comes to, trading in Voyager as a whole, which is good to hear.
I noticed something on your last interview that you said about your USDC holdings.
Mm-hmm.
That they 10x'd in the last 3 months.
Yeah,
now,
it shows you the power of it. Yep.
Now I love USDC. Obviously, I'm big on the direct deposits coming and the debit card and stuff like that. But is that because people were coming on board with USDC to get in, or is that them selling their crypto? And like what I do sometimes when I take a profit, they're pumping it into USDC to hold it. Are we seeing a bunch of new money coming into USDC?
We see both, right? We see definitely some where people are selling out of their positions and putting in USDC because it's just it's dollar for dollar, no volatility, and they can see where the market comes from there. Because remember, we did sit in a band for so long that was like 2,000 to 4,000 on Bitcoin, and everything else was pretty much in a tight band. But we did see a lot of new dollars coming on the platform that then got converted into USDC. It shows you the power when we're ready to launch the debit card. It shows you the real power behind that and what we think we'll be able to accomplish, because people will get that debit card. They'll be able to spend it. Our goal is over the next 60 days to get the first versions of that card out to the first group of users. Maybe a little longer, a little less. We're not really sure. We're going through the final process with the bank and our program manager, but we're getting there. And, I think the card will be well received.
Can we volunteer to be on that beta group you mentioned?
We'll see. No promises. I know. I'm hopeful I can be the first one to use it the first time. My goal is but because, by the way, I've never used a debit card in my life. And so this will be the first time I use a debit card, and it'll be my own debit card. So super thrilled to do that.
The other ones we're seeing were Visa, but you chose MasterCard. Is there a reason for that?
MasterCard is really making a push to get into the crypto space too, following Visa's lead on that. So, we have a very good relationship with our program manager, UCO. It's a public company. Very good relationship with MCB, Metropolitan Commercial Banks, one of our key bank. And they introduced us to MasterCard. Now we're building a really good relationship. MasterCard's extremely excited to be working with us, as we are with them, because of the size of the number of accounts we have, and we're only in this country. They look at the opportunity globally and see an opportunity as well. So it's really, really, it's good partnerships. Everything we try to do is building partnerships. We're not cutthroat. We're not trying to always cut the best deal. We're always trying to do what's right for both parties. Because I've been doing this long enough that says if you always go for the best price, best this, best that, you don't have a really good partner who's going to just hate the relationship after a while. We're always trying to build relationships, and we have a really good relationship with all three: MasterCard, MCB, and UCO.
Is it going to be a metal debit card? I think that's one of the most important aspects of this to 90% of people watching.
I don't think our first version will be metal. We may upgrade to that after a while, but we want to get it. We want to get it out to the market. And look, there is a shortage of chips, shortage of cards. So my goal is get it to the market. Get it, use it. It's pretty cool. I am not showing you guys it. My marketing team will absolutely kill me. But we've submitted it already for the final approvals.
Is it purple?
And it looks pretty cool. I'm not telling you what color or anything it is.
Oh, man.
I can tell you this. It's not white. There's too many damn white debit cards in the marketplace. If you look, if the guys at Chime, Cash App, Apple, they're all white. Like, why? I can tell you it's not white.
Okay, I'll take it.
Unique. There's a question here about exact parameters. I don't know if you want to comment on this, Steve, potentially on generating interest. I think this is for individual coins, or I don't know if you can kind of decipher this question here.
Yeah, exact parameters that determine if an asset on Voyager can generate interest on the platform and be activated for withdrawals deposits. So one thing to note, we do not generate any yield on any asset unless we're giving some of that yield back to consumers. So I read a lot of tweets that say they're taking all the yield on Tron or VeChain. We are not. We do not. If we're not giving you the yield, we're not getting any yield. That's just who we are. We're not making money at the expense of customers. And then we look at the coins. We look at what's in the marketplace. How easy is it to stake? How easy is it to loan? Does Blockdaemon have it? And so we can stake it on Blockdaemon. Again, safety and security of the assets is key and paramount to everything we do. I said I think I said it on Paul Barron's show yesterday that he asked about yield farming. We don't yield farm. One of the investors that I spoke to today, and this from this banker, asked about yield farming. I said, we don't do that. We don't put customer assets at risk in yield farming. And we saw what happened with Matic. It wasn't necessarily related to yield farming, but we're not putting customer assets at risk. So if there's staking that we can control, and if there's lending that we trust with the parties that we send to, we'll generate yield, and we'll give that yield back to customers. Some cases, we'll even give you yield, and there is no market for us. And we've done that with some coins. Voyager token's one of them. We were given a 7% yield, and we were making 0 on the yield.
Shiba's one too, right?
Pretty much. There's not a huge lending market on that. So we do not do those other things. But I think it is important to note, how we put the safety and sanctity of the assets first, and won't put customer assets at risk. This just can't be. You can't do it. It's a customer business. There's no bailout coming for us like there are for banks. So we're not doing it.
Yeah. What was the thought process behind partnering with Blockdaemon specifically? Was it just reputation, minimal? I'm assuming they take a bit of a fee. Just kind of your thought process behind that kind of partnership there.
Yeah, so look, I think why we thought Blockdaemon was a good partnership for us is because they can get the nodes up and running for staking faster than we can, because they got a team of people only focused on that. So we felt that was a really good place to really good partner to work with on that front. And so we made an investment, and we work with them on that. So, but I want to go back to the other piece of the question from before. We talked about some coins withdrawals and deposits. There's a lot of AML risk on coins. So when you actually take a coin off the platform, if you don't have the proper nodes in place and checks to make sure what wallet it's going to, and really do the anti-money laundering, checks on that, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble as a firm for us. So for us to add more coins to deposits withdrawals, we got to now build all the monitoring tools too, the transaction monitoring related to it too. And it's funny because Brian Armstrong talked about that same thing on Coinbase's call today, that there's a lot of work that goes into every single one of the chains that you build to, and then the transaction monitoring. That's the key. That's the thing the regulators will come after you on, is the transaction monitoring. If you don't do a good job there, that's the ones that are going to get companies in trouble. And we will only bring coins to the market for deposits withdrawals when we're comfortable with our ability to transaction monitor those. If we can't, then we're just going to allow people to earn the alpha on the trading. So it's pretty simple. There's a method to the madness. It's not like we're holding customers' assets because we feel like we want to. We don't do it. It's stupid. That's not who we are. It's about making sure it's safe, secure, and abiding by rules.
Steve, is Blockdaemon helping facilitate the new interest that you're now paying on the Luna token? Because I noticed that you guys just had interest for Luna, which was pretty big, because that's you're the only platform now, well, centralized platform, that is paying any interest on Luna.
I don't tell you where exactly it goes, but we like our partnership with Blockdaemon.
Awesome, cool.
Any partnership with Polkadot?
We give rewards on Polkadot, right? And
yes.
So Partnership with Polkadot. We get approached by different protocols all the time for partnerships. We're, again, selective on who we're going to work with. We could work with multiple ones as well. But we do speak to a lot of the protocols about how we can do different things like adding DeFi or NFT and add, or, basically layer twos on top of a lot of the stuff so we can actually access DeFi and NFTs and so forth. So we speak to a lot of them.
Can I bring up some StormX stuff? Or let's go to this question that he just brought up.
Yeah, payment. I mean, this is just another kind of aspect of payment processing. So any plans on payment terminals?
Yeah, that's part of where we want to get into with the Coinify business, is getting into the terminals, the ISOs, which is the independent sales organizations. And we learn a lot from the banks too. And they're, Metropolitan's teaching us a lot about avenues and places we can go working with them. So as I said, mutual beneficial partnerships we have with UCO, now MasterCard and MCB Bank. It's exciting for us.
Will the terminals be purple?
I'm not getting in the I'm not getting in the software game or the building of all that technology and the hard software. Nope, not happening.
How about the merchandise that's coming very soon? Is that going to be purple?
Merchandise for us will absolutely. I have a black shirt on today, but I have about 3 different purple ones. You never know which one you're going to see when we're down in Daytona. I'll tell you that. So we're getting there with our store. We had a false start. We had a vendor. It didn't work out. So we're trying to solve that problem too. We really want to get some gear out into the marketplace as well. We're a little bit behind on that, and it's a high priority, but it's not as high as trying to build more marketing and build some more relationships with influencers.
Yeah, no, one point that I just want to make, when it comes to merchandise, that's almost like a free form of like marketing, right? Because people wear your logo, and I don't know what it is. It's like the rule of 7. The more people see a certain kind of logo or company, it automatically clicks in their head to them potentially having a greater chance of signing up in the future. Conversation starter. So I mean, just merchant. It's like no cost from you guys. I don't know how you'll do it, but it's it just seems like something that would be definitely a good idea to expand into. I don't know, DJ StormX.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about some. First of all, is there any way you could help us talk to Simon about getting him to be a VGX hero? Because he's got to be Darth Vader. We're saving it for him. He's got the stormtroopers over there. We need him as Darth Vader to lead the way. I mean, I'll be talking to him tomorrow, but you can put in a better word than I can.
I didn't know Darth Vader was a hero of anything. So
he turned out good in the end. I don't want to spoil any movies.
He got
a softness of heart. That's
my apologies. I've only seen like the first 2, I think, of the Star Wars series. I lost track somewhere along there. Like they went to 3, but then they went back to the pre. It's like that's just too confusing. So one of these days, maybe I'll sit down and watch them all. I think Simon's going to be joining us down in Daytona. So we could have some pretty good we could have some good conversations about getting us to stake the token. With him, so we can bring the rewards to all the Voyager holders. So we'll have some good conversations with him down in Daytona.
That's the big question that I'm getting a lot, and even in the chat, a lot of, we saw you guys tweeting back and forth. Of course, everybody's got alerts on your tweets, but we're hope. I mean, I have it staked off, but I have a lot of people asking for that for sure. That don't even have it and want to get into it. And I know it's a big draw, but I know they have their own staking mechanism that's different than normal, and that's complicated. And the reward system, like, do you include that as well? And it doesn't seem impossible, but it does seem difficult. But are you saving that conversation for Daytona, or have you gotten into any depth in that?
We've started. Simon and I have a great relationship. I think very highly of what Simon's done with StormX, and I think it's pretty cool that he's got the patch jersey on the Trailblazers. Although Damon Lillard will be a Knick by midseason next year, so he could have some of the Knick players. So look, but I think that we're working through how we can work together more and bring staking and bring some rewards back to the Voyager holders, because it's in both our interests to do that. And like I said, it's a great relationship. We do get along very well. And Daytona, probably over a few beers or two, will help get some things closed out.
That's awesome. And then one last request. I got to ask, what is it going to take? And maybe the Daytona does it, but what is it going to take for us to get that Stormex logo on Landon's car? Is there any kind of special oomph that we can give to work something out there, or let me organize the troops a little bit?
If we could figure out how we could keep the Stormex tokens in the Voyager wallet and get the interest or the yield to the staking yields and to Voyager holders, I'm sure I will. Landon and I are very happy to put Stormex on the car.
Yes.
There is a question here.
It's recorded, right?
Yeah, I'm happy to replay that one.
Right.
I know you can't answer this directly. I mean, it's definitely an insider info.
You want me to comment on the parent? You want me to comment on the parens or the rest of it?
He just wanted to show he's the G.
Would you consider selling Voyager at the right price?
Look, whenever asked that question, there's one answer. Whatever is in the best interest of the four constituents we work for. And I talk about this all the time. We work for shareholders, we work for token holders, we work for the employees, and we work for the customers. And whatever is in the best interest of all four of the groups, that's my fiduciary obligation to look at that. So, are we looking at selling? Absolutely not. We think our business is from what I've seen on the comparable marketplace of public companies out there, we think we're undervalued. Only time will tell. But would we be interested in selling it at these levels? No dice. It's way too low. Way too low.
It's good to hear. I mean, you guys are just as you say, big second inning or whatnot. It's like you still have so much expansion with users, with stocks, payment processing, so many different businesses, so much potential. So
Super Bowl ads.
Exactly.
You never know. So you guys can help us there. If I can get to, let's see.
Here we go.
Hold on.
Challenges.
I will do this. I will make this.
Let me record it on my phone.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm looking. I know my numbers right now. If I get to 1 million funded accounts funded by the end of October, 2.5 months away, if I get to 1 million funded accounts, we will do something where we even get some of our VGX heroes into an ad. We'll do that.
We can do
but
that.
You got to get. I got my numbers wrong. It's 1.1 million funded accounts by the end of October.
Oh shoot! He just added 100,000.
Oh man!
No, that's easy. We got that.
Yeah, I got at least 1,000 by then.
So we will absolutely do something, and we'll get some of the VGX heroes involved in the ad.
That is awesome. Is there like a ledger of how many referrals that we have? I need to see what I've done. I need that competition drive. Do you all have access to how many referrals we have?
Yeah, we do. We know exactly how many everybody has done. We've toyed with the competition on that front. I think sometimes it's great. Other times it's not so great, because if you fall behind too quick, you kind of give up. And so we've got to think of different ways to engage, to help, the community, help drive more customers. If you listen to what Robinhood said, especially in their IPO roadshow, and I did that Saturday afternoon, They talked about, the lion's share of their customers, probably 70% of them, comes from referrals, organically through referrals. And, it's an important aspect, and they do similar stuff as us, giving benefit and so forth to do that. And so we're, that's our goal. Our goal is to keep a similar model. And it's really, and I said it on DJ, I said it on your show, Daniel, I said it to you when you and I did, is that we only are in where we are today because of that referral network, which starts with guys like you and continues throughout the entire community. So I'm dead serious when I say 1.1, we'll get a group of the Voyager heroes, the VGX heroes, and we'll get them into the ads so you all can say you're in the Super Bowl.
That is awesome. We're doing it.
So I have an idea, and this is just based off of a lot of what Weeble's been doing. Sign up for Voyager, deposit $100, and get 2 free cryptocurrencies worth up to $1,800. That's the Weeble. They give you like 2 free stocks or whatever when you it's an interesting type of kind of way to market. Obviously, small chance you get $1,800 worth of stocks, but
oh, they do one of those, right? And somebody else does the spin the wheel, and so you can win a share, a share of Berkshire Hathaway, or you can win a share of NetSense. And 99% of the people win the share of NetSense, and nobody wins the Berkshire Hathaway, but they try, and it's gamified. So it's not a bad idea.
Just a thought.
Not a bad idea at all.
There was this question, I don't know, about the max supply of VGX. That's all listed on the website, correct? In terms of potential kind of additions in coins over the next few years?
Yeah, so go through it real quick. After the swap, 255 million tokens, less whatever doesn't get swapped on the LGO side. Ackerman did a great job. I think he said something like 65% of the LGO tokens have already been swapped, maybe more at this point. So I don't think there's going to be much slippage there off the 255. We get 40 million in year 1 as the marketing pool, so it's 295, and then there's 20 guaranteed for year 2, 10 for year 3, and I think 10 through year 5 is when it's guaranteed. So that's 30, 50, 90 on top of it. It's 345 max pool, but the 7% staking gets added to that pool as well on top of it. So that's the max pool you can ever get. Just take the 7%. 7% of 350 on the but in year 1 it's only 255 and 40, only 295. So you're talking about 21 million. On 300 million, it's 21 million tokens at max. If everything was staked, 100% of the time, you get somewhere around 20 million, 21 million tokens come in the market. So.
And that 40 million doesn't hit the market immediately. So there's a lot of confusion about that, to where there's a fear of this infusion of 40 million tokens. That's not going to be the case.
No, I mean, that's what I said to DJ's question earlier, was that, like, we're not just handing them out. This isn't coupons to go to the local amusement park on Saturday. The fair, the holiday fair that's coming, and they want everyone to show up. That's not what we're doing. We're using them for specific purposes, which is under the rewards program, or to go get an influencer, like, if we could get a Tom Brady or someone of that nature. That's what we're going to use the tokens for. How do we use it to get the word out and get our brand out and get more customers? That's what we're using them for. We're not just, handing them out on the street corner to do that. So not at all.
There's some Europeans that are up. It's 2 a.m. over there, and they're wondering when they might see the app. Is it going to be 2022, do you think? Or what's your thought on that?
We've got a lot of tech work to get it there. So, we definitely think it's in 2022. We're trying to beat that time frame and get it sooner rather than later there. So
am I going to get it before they do, or Canada? Is Canada before Europe, or Europe after Canada?
If I could get into Canada, if the OSC gives me exemptive relief, I can get there fairly quickly. It's harder, actually. We have the approvals in France. We're waiting on the OSC, which is just a pain in the ass.
I have some connections with Justin Trudeau, and I'll
Yeah, just drop him a call. If he could give us a thumbs up, we'd probably be good.
I'll work on that. I'll work. Oh man.
Yes. So I'm seeing all these people. People are like, who should we get? Baker Mayfield, Justin
Get the
Fields.
chance with Megan Fox.
I met Megan Fox, or I saw Megan Fox. She was. I happened to be at that Mayweather.
That's what we hear.
Yeah, the Mayweather fight way back, over a month ago.
Paul.
Yeah, the Mayweather Paul fight, which I don't, we're calling it a fight, but I don't know if it was a fight. Megan Fox was in the box over from us, and we were invited. Dirk Muller from Market Rebellion and I were invited to the box by our friend Hugh Jackson, the ex-NFL coach. Now he's the assistant coach at Tennessee State. And I'm excited. Like Hugh and I have been talking a lot. We're eventually going to go down there and teach his Tennessee State football players about crypto as well. And those guys who are football fans, know who the head coach of Tennessee State is right now is, the ex-Ohio State running back and Heisman Trophy winner Eddie George. So, I'm excited to meet Eddie George.
Steve, you know who looks good in purple? Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Purple.
He fakely took
with that because that would be big down here in the South.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Kirk Cousins, but he's under a little pressure these days.
No.
Tebow.
Isn't Cousins was Cousins? He wasn't a Florida guy, was he?
No, he was Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Got it. We'll take a look across the board and see where we can find some good influencers. But look, I think really when we're looking for those influencers anyway, we're looking for folks that are crypto knowledgeable. Like it's not just, hey, we want you to work with us and they've never even heard of crypto. They've never bought a crypto. That doesn't work. I think it goes over like as one of my employees has said I've known for years. She's worked with me for 20 years. That's like a fart in church. You bring somebody in here that to pitch the business and help you promote, and they don't even know what a crypto is. That just doesn't work. I mean, the reason why Landon has worked so well is Landon's a crypto guy, and he took it in crypto and didn't trade it. He didn't flip it right away. I know that firsthand. Landon did not flip the crypto. I know some of the other guys, and maybe the guy you mentioned, that quarterback from Jacksonville, may have flipped his bonus right away from crypto into dollars. He didn't sit long with crypto, which if he did, he would have made a lot more money. So Landon's a crypto guy, and that's what we want. We want folks that are crypto guys.
Saquon?
Interesting guy.
That would be your guy, right?
I'd love to get Saquon. It's New York Giant, personality, good guy, all around, good guy. So yeah, I would love to get.
He said he's taking his sponsorships in crypto.
Yep. So love to get.
We'll try to help.
Love to get. Say let's start a community to try to just get Saquon to follow us and then go from there.
Yeah. I mean, David's been asking about this for the whole episode. I've just actually noticed
infrastructure bill.
It's like infrastructure bill.
All right, so here's my take on the infrastructure bill. Yeah, it's clear our government doesn't understand crypto. If they can debate this for 5 days and come out with no resolution, and an 87-year-old senator just shuts all it down, it's clear that we have a divide that's developing in this country between the Gen Xers, my age, are jumping in. We're starting to jump in more and more. We're seeing more and more accounts from Gen Xers. Millennials are in. Gen Zs are in. The only ones that aren't coming in are the baby boomers. And who are our government officials? Baby boomers. So we're getting this divide because I tweeted this out the other night that the people that the senators and congressmen represent want crypto. If you're in the position and you've been voted in by your constituents, you've got to listen to your constituents, not what you think is right. You're supposed to be there to represent your constituents. And I think we do a poor job on that. And I think the infrastructure bill is more money coming into the government, coming in, They're going to try to pay for it, that they're never going to be able to figure out how to tax, get people from a DeFi is going to send a 1099 to whom. So I think that it's just not going to work. And they don't realize that. They want to give all this power to the taxing authorities on this. And the real way to do it is just the way that we were all supporting, is make players like I give the 1099s, and they're going to collect a whole bunch more taxes. It's not a hard solution. And I think we've made this worse. And now I'm hearing that it won't even, don't worry about it because it's not even going to pass through the House, because the House is saying we want like another $500 billion for investment into our infrastructure. So, don't worry about it. It's going to fail there. So that tells you how screwed up we are.
You think any long-term implications of this maybe being like the first kind of, sign of expanding into something more? But I don't know. You said your thoughts on regulation before, but has that maybe changed now?
Thoughtful regulation is good for the industry. And I think that's not really regulation. That's taxation.
Yeah.
And I think there's difference between regulation and taxation. And I think thoughtful regulation is really, really good for the industry. I just fear that, they fear the unknown. I think a lot of the stuff is delaying a lot of what they know is happening. More and more people want crypto. More and more people are buying Bitcoin, buying other projects, buying USDC. It's important, and I think Pomp said something today about it, that it's like, we have a long way to go, but the adoption's coming and it's happening and it's right in front of everybody's eyes. And we just need to embrace as a country, not kick it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as more people kind of get into crypto, it's going to be more difficult to kind of turn back. I think he tweeted some statistic. I saw it. I forgot who tweeted it, but it was like 26% of millennials are into stocks and like 16% are into crypto or something like that. Like it's getting big in terms of how many people are involved in this industry. And at a certain point, from their perspective, doing something negative may actually hurt the United States more than they actually think from that perspective. That's kind of my opinion. But
I think they started hearing that, like they didn't know, which is stupid in itself. But then they started hearing that, like, this is going to hurt. Like, you're trying to produce money real quick, but it's going to hurt you long term. And if money's what you want, which of course, then let's think about this at least a little bit. But anyways.
Yeah. And I think the other thing Pomp said was, and DJ, you just alluded to it in a little way, is that the pushback that the senators were getting from the crypto community, we all kind of just jumped on board and was like, choose this amendment over that amendment, the Tumans amendment, choose that amendment, because, and I don't think they realized how social media works and how powerful the crypto community actually is. And now I think they're starting to realize that, there's power in masses. And when I hear all this stuff that the equity market has to change because of the meme stocks and it's more of a gambling scenario than it is investing, who's our government to tell us what to do with our money? They don't tell you to stop putting it on red or black at the roulette wheel. They're like, go ahead, it's okay. And by the way, it's like a 5% credit card fee, and this one makes fees on that, and there's taxation, and the states do really well off of gambling. But the stock market should be whatever somebody wants it to be. We're individualistic. That's what makes our country so beautiful, is that we all have a voice, we all have power, and we could show it through different avenues. And if there's a group of people that want to, buy AMC because they think it's they think it's fun and they just want to do that, and GameStop, God bless them. That's their prerogative. If they lose their money, so be it. If they make money, so be it too. It's their prerogative. You don't have to have a strategy when you invest if you choose not to. It's not my way of doing it, but you don't have to have a way. You don't have to.
Yeah, freedom of choice.
And
freedom. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. Is this like part of the thing that you joined? Like Voyager joined some some entity or something with like a bunch of different cryptocurrency companies out there, and potentially educating Congress, just focusing on that, because it's something that obviously, everyone's going to benefit from Congress understanding cryptocurrencies. So having like a pool of all the crypto companies coming together, joining forces and educating, that might be something worthwhile.
We joined the Blockchain Association, and as part of that, we get to voice our opinion to the leaders of the Blockchain Association. And Kristen Smith does a darn heck of a job running that association. You guys, everybody should give Kristen a follow and the Blockchain Association a follow on Twitter. She is so plugged in. She's so smart, and she was leading the charge on these amendments. And so we reach out to her and give our views and so forth. Her and Dan Spuller, they do just an absolutely tremendous job. And we're newbies in that association. We'll get more embedded in that and give our opinions a little bit more. But that association really speaks for the power of the people. And we're happy and proud to be accepted as part of one of the members of that association.
What was her name?
Kristen Smith at the Blockchain Association.
Awesome. And then, one last question. We've been going for like an hour and a half now. If VGX goes to 10, or let's say to any number, let's say it goes up significantly. You've mentioned this before. Would you add more tiers, simply lower requirements? And how would you make kind of holding those higher levels of like 20,000 tokens still beneficial to people?
Get it to 10. If it goes to 10, we'll have that conversation. But I said all along, like as if price moves, we have the data. We know how many people have certain amount of coins and so forth. We're not, my team is much smarter than I am, and our data team is much smarter than I am, and they'll give me suggestions on what to do, because we want more people to have to hit the tiers. We want them to get into the ownership levels and take advantage of that. So, when it gets to some of those levels, we will look at changes to that program, because the program is not set in stone. We could add a Spotify membership for tiers. There's a whole bunch of things we can do, especially with the payment merchant network and the data we'll get about where people are using the debit card, which restaurants, which they're using it at Subway, so we can go approach Subway for stuff. Are they using it at Little Caesars? Are they using it at for sporting events? There's so many things that we can do to make that a much better, deeper loyalty program. Have to start somewhere and grow from there.
Yeah, so like that's with like the release of new products, right? With the debit card, right? There's so many different aspects that you can add on to that. So yeah, that's great. It's been nice chatting to you guys. Steve, any final thoughts? Shout out your Twitter. I have all of your links in the comment section down below. Anyone watching, check that out. But any final words, Steve?
No, the only thing I would say is, the only thing I would say is, thank you guys for all that you do. It's that, the same theme whenever on any of your guys' shows or talking to you guys, or like when we were in, Palm Beach or so forth, and we had drinks and snack that day. I truly appreciate everything that the community does, all our supporters, all our customers, all our investors, all the token, everybody. We don't get to be where we are on our own. It's a group effort, and the group is pretty darn big. And it's like I said, when we work for those 4 constituents, that group of people is so big and so powerful, and we've just scratched the surface. And I'm open to any ideas. People always hit me up, send me ideas on Twitter. Feel free to tag me in tweets and give me ideas. Pro athletes you want us to go after, musicians, artists, actors, just tell us. We're all there. Ideas on how to make things better. I'm all ears. We listen to the consumers. We don't do everything all the time because we only have so many resources. But thanks to everybody for everything on this, and we just want to move the ball forward and get more adoption.
Well, thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
DJ, how do you become a VGX hero really quickly?
Just get on Twitter, tweet at me, and then I'll take care of the rest. At DJ Crypto _, and then we'll get everybody on there. That's the easiest way, and then we'll get you in the Discord and all that. But we're going to France first in Europe. Is that right?
The goal is to be France first, test it out there, and then go through the rest of Europe. Yep, that's exactly right.
Well, they're hoping to get Lionel Messi. So if we can get into PSG, the soccer team over there we go.
Yep.
They got the Jordan sponsorship. I'm just saying. There's my little sell point right there.
Yeah, two-year deal for Messi at PSG.
Man, it's crazy.
Awesome. All right.
Well, thank you guys. Appreciate it. And have a great night.
Thank you all
thanks,
so
man.
much for watching. Check out all these guys' Twitter in the comment section or in the description down below, and we'll see you all in the next one.